Okay, hello second graders. I'm in the classroom today. Um, we are looking together at lesson 6-8 in our math books. They're going to ask us to solve one-step and two-step problems. We're going to find that on page 365. So if you can please take out your book. I'm going to share my workspace with you here. All right, we're lesson 6-8. 365 is the page. And here I can see Marta, and she has some muffins in front of her. Her workspace is here, and I'm going to go ahead and read from this bubble, and you can follow in your book. Trevor made 20 apple muffins for the bake sale. Ryan made 15 banana muffins. They sold 23 muffins in all. How many muffins are left? Solve any way you choose, then write two equations to show your work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go back and identify my important information. I know that Trevor made 20 muffins, so I'm going to go ahead and underline that. He made 20. And then I also know that Ryan made 15, so he made 15. Then after that, once all the muffins were made, they sold 23 in all. And my question is how many muffins are left? Okay, so I need to take two steps to solve this problem. The first step is going to be to figure out how many muffins Trevor and Ryan made all together. Okay, and then the second step is going to be to figure out once they sold those 23 muffins, how many were left. Okay, so again, if I'm thinking about how many they made together at the beginning of the story, I need to add because I'm trying to find out how many in all, right? So that's going to be my first operation. And I know that Trevor made 20. And I know that Ryan made 15. So my equation here is 20 plus 15 equals something. Now in the directions, they also tell us that we can solve any way you choose. So once I have my equation set up, then I can take some time to solve. Let's go ahead and line up tens and ones. I have some space up here. You can find some space on your book as well. We're going to separate tens from ones. So I have 20 plus 15. I'm going to start in my ones place. I have 0 plus 5. That gives me 5. And then I have 2 plus 1, which gives me 3. So altogether, I have a sum of 35. Trevor and Ryan made 35 muffins altogether. Okay. Then they took those 35, and I go to the next part of the problem, which tells me they sold 23 muffins in all. Okay, so I had 35, but they sold 23. So is that adding or taking away? What would make sense? Take away, right? Because they don't have those 23 muffins anymore. They sold them. So 35 take away 23 is my next problem. And again, I can solve it any way I'd like. Can do, again, the lining up strategy. I have some space here. 35 minus 23. We'll line up as tens and ones. I start in my ones. I have 5 take away 3. I don't need to regroup, do I? 5 take away 3 gives me 2, and 3 take away 2 gives me 1, for a difference of 12. So 35 take away 23 gives me 12. Okay, so at the end of the story, they want to know how many muffins are left. 12 muffins are left. Okay, all right. So some of these problems that we're going to be doing today are going to require 2 steps. And just keep that in mind. If I look at the next page up at those green boxes, the first part says some students are in the gym. 13 students leave. Now there are 15 students in the gym. How many students were in the gym at the start? So Marta says, what is happening in the story? She's thinking, right? So let's go back and identify what is happening. Well, we know there are some students at the beginning, but we don't know how many. We do know that 13 leave, and once those 13 leave, there are 15 students that are left in the gym. That's what we know, okay? That definitely makes me think of a parts to whole chart, right? Because I know two parts, how many left and how many were there at the end, but I don't know the whole. I don't know how many were there at the beginning. And you can see, if we skip ahead a box, they do set that up for us, a parts to whole chart. I know the two parts, but I don't know the whole. Okay, let's read the next box together. You can write an equation. First, think about what you need to find out. What do we need to find out? We need to find out how many students were in the gym at the start. And Marta says, you can use a question for the unknown. So she puts a question mark there because we don't know how many were at the beginning, but we know 13 left, so we would take away 13. And at the end, we had 15, so equals 15. You can also use a bar diagram to show the parts and the whole, which is what we just talked about. These are my two parts, and I'm looking for the whole. So I know that if I have the two parts, but I'm missing the whole, I'm going to be adding those two in order to find out what that missing number is, right? So in the last box, they set that addition problem up for us. You can add to solve the problem. So I have 13 plus 15. I start in my ones. 3 plus 5 gives me 8. And in my tens, 1 plus 1 gives me 2 for 28. So 28 students were in the gym at the start, right? And I could even fill that in my parts to whole chart there. 28 is what would belong at the top. So let's go ahead and take a look at the guided practice. It's asking us to solve each problem and to show your work. So if I look at number 1, the story says, some keychains are in a bag. We don't know how many, right? It just says some. Some keychains are in a bag. Aki takes out 17 keychains. 14 keychains are left in the bag. How many keychains were in the bag at the start? Okay, so again, my important information. There were some, we don't know how many. Aki took out 17 and there were 14 left. The question is, how many were there at the start? So again, a parts to whole chart is a really great way of thinking and organizing that information. We don't know how many there were at the beginning, but we do know that he took 17 out and 14 were left. Okay, and so to find the missing piece right here, I would need to add those two numbers. So here we have the setup for that. 17 plus 14 is what we're looking at. Okay, if I start in my ones place, I see 7 plus 4, which gives me 11. I can't put 11 there because it's 2 digits. So I'm going to put the 1 up here in the tens and this other one down here below. And now my tens place is 1 plus 1 plus 1, which gives me 3. So I know that there were 31 keychains at the beginning. Okay, and you can even write that here. There were 31. We took out 17, and that left him with 14. All right, let's take a look at number 2. It says some leaves are in a pile. Do we know how many leaves? We do not. It just says some are in a pile. 26 leaves blow away. 22 leaves are left. Okay, so 26 blow away in the wind, right? And 22 are left afterwards. And the question is, how many leaves were in the pile at the start? That's the part we don't know, okay? So parts to whole, really helpful, right? I don't know how many there were at the beginning, but I do know that 26 blew away, and I know that 22 were still left. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace those. I don't know this part yet. So in order to find out, I need to take those two parts and I need to add them to get the missing number. So here I'm set up. I'm going to add, that's my operation. 26 plus 22. And I have my 10s and my 1s separated. Okay, I'm going to start in my 1s. I see 6 plus 2. That gives me a sum of 8. And 2 plus 2 gives me a sum of 4, for a total of 48. So 48 is how many leaves I started with. And after 26 blew away, then I was left with those 22. Okay, so, oh, we forgot to do this part here. How many leaves were in the pile at the start? 48 were. And same for this one. Sorry, guys. How many keychains were in the bag at the start? 31. Okay. All right, so you are going to continue with numbers 3 and 4 in your independent practice. They're asking you to use a bar diagram to solve each problem. And why a bar diagram? Because it helps us to organize our information, right? If we don't know how many we had to begin with, that's going to be our unknown. And these are the pieces that we are going to plug in for our known parts. If they want to know how many are left, then it's going to be one of our parts that is missing, and we'll have the whole, and we'll also have part 1. Okay, so yeah, you're going to work on numbers 3 and 4, and then let's take a quick look at number 5 together. I'm seeing that this is a 2-step problem, so I'm going to go ahead and read, and you can follow. AJ counts 44 acorns in his yard. He picks up 27 acorns. Then 16 more acorns fall from the tree. How many acorns are in the yard now? Show your work. Okay, so again, we have two steps. Let's first identify our important information. I know AJ counts 44 acorns in his yard at the beginning of the story, right? He had 44 that he counted. But then he does something. He picks up 27 acorns, so he picks them up. They're no longer spread out in his yard, are they? They picked up. So that tells me that the first thing I need to do is take 44 and take away the 27 he picked up, because those are no longer in the yard. Okay, then something else happens. Then 16 more acorns fall from the tree. So 16 more fall. And the question is, how many acorns are in the yard now? That's my question. How many more are in the yard now? All right, so that means that I'm going to take my answer, whatever my answer is. I'm going to put it here in my next problem, and to that I'm going to be adding 16, because 16 more fall, and that will give me how many acorns are still in the yard. Okay, so we have it set up, and I will let you work on it more to get the answer for how many acorns are left in the yard. Right, so that's, oh, my light turns off if there's not enough movement. Okay, guys, so we'll be working more on 2-step problems in our Google Meets. If you have any questions, you can always reach out. But other than that, I will be seeing you very soon, okay? Take care. Bye.